So let me say a few words about where we are coming from. So I'm employed at University of DACH. We are a small company located in Perg in Austria, and we are active in everything that has to do with simulation, modeling, and data science in essentially two business areas, in industry and also in quantitative finance. And it's the quantitative finance part of the business I'm speaking about here. Together with our company Dynamics in Switzerland, we are developing a method called Unrisk Omega. And Unrisk Omega is used in private wealth management. So banks use our software to give financial advice to customers, mainly private investors, private customers. So we are talking about these high net worth individuals here. So that's why part of the business is in Switzerland. But I can give you a quick rundown of the contents of the talk. I'm going to speak a bit about our motivation in the beginning, summarize some basic facts about climate change. Probably you have seen most of this. And I introduce a very, very simple climate model that we use to calculate a KPI, the so-called warming potential, that allows you to estimate a company's or a country's contribution to global warming. And but I'll show you a few applications in here. So, what's our motivation? Well, I think it perhaps is more than 1,000 words. That's probably the most optimistic part I'm going to present here. This is the increase in sustainable investment in Switzerland since 2010. And you see in 2010 we were at about 40 billion Swiss francs, and now we are at 1,500 billion Swiss francs with a year-on-year increase of 31% in the last few years. So there is demand for sustainable investment. So there are enough investors that would like to invest in sustainable companies, but when you go to private wealth management, institutional investors can read reports about companies and decide whether a company is sustainable or not. That's not really feasible for private individuals. So we need to create some kind of metric that allows them to decide whether a company is sustainable or not. And of course, this metric, well, it needs to be comparable across different business sizes, different industries. It needs to be fairly simple and transparent, because first people need to understand it, and also because the banks want to increase the stability, of course. And third, the metric should foster economic competition. So it would be easy to create a metric that is where you simply, as an enterprise, you benefit from winding your business down. Because if you're not the business, you don't produce emissions. That's not what we want. The KPI should favor companies that do their business efficiently with respect to the effects of climate change. So I think you've seen something like this probably 100 times. This is global mean temperature since 1850, and you can clearly see here in the pre-industrial age it stayed fluctuated, but it stayed roughly constant, and then starting from the roughly 1920s there was an increase with a short dip after the 1940s, of course, and then since the 1970s it has gone almost linearly upwards. So we are now roughly about 1.1 degrees centigrade global warming above the pre-industrial age. This warming is, of course, that's also no secret, I guess, largely attributed to emissions of greenhouse gases. When I'm talking here about CO2 emissions, I usually mean CO2 equivalent, so other greenhouse gases are simply multiplied by the weight factor, depending on how efficient they are for climate change. So that's the, oh, you don't see. Yeah. So you can easily see up to the 80s, the global west, so European Union and US were responsible for most of the emissions. So Europe is the brownish orange area, and the US are the blue area. But of course, since the 1980s, since the economy has gone up there, China and Asia have larger and larger contribution of emissions simply because there are many people living there and the economy goes up, so they produce more emissions. So as again, that's just the top of the curve you saw before. This is the yearly global emissions, and what we have now done for our model is to accumulate, to sum up the yearly emissions and plot the accumulated emissions versus the global warming temperature, so the delta above the pre-industrial age. And if you look at that, that's the graph we get. So the x-axis here is the accumulated emissions of greenhouse gases accumulation starting in 1850. So the 2,500 on the right hand side means that up to now humanity as in total has emitted 2,500 gigatons of CO2. The y-axis is the temperature, and you can see that there is basically a linear relation between total amount of emitted greenhouse gases and the temperature. This gives you, of course, a very, very simplistic model, meaning there's simply a linear correlation between the total volume of greenhouse gases emitted and the warming temperature. The model might be simple, but it worked well for the past 150 years, actually. And, well, the advantage of this model is it's quite robust, it's quite simple to understand, and it connects emissions. That's something where we have data for, to the global warming temperature. That's something that really sticks in people's heads. So this is nice for having a KPI that tells you about the effects of the companies, the country's actions in terms of global warming. So here, so just to sum it up, some of the numbers. The linear fit tells you that 2000 and what something gigatons of CO2 equivalent less to the global warming of 1 degree centigrade. If you now look, okay, what would happen now, like, according to this model, if we would reduce emissions? So let's simply assume that we can keep the pace and keep reducing emissions like we did in the past 2 years, so keep the same rate of reduction of emissions. Then emissions would behave roughly like this exponential green curve. They would go down. And I think I don't need to remind you that this is plenty optimistic because the past 2 years have been shaped by the pandemic. So it's very optimistic to assume that we can continue that pace if there's no virus kicking our butts. But let's assume we can keep that pace, then we would arrive at the green line here. So temperatures would further go up and level off here, and in the year 2100 we would end up with something like plus 1.65 degrees centigrade. What's also interesting is this red line. This is the so-called no action temperature, which is actually a bit misleading. It doesn't mean no action, it does actually mean freezing emissions at the level they are now. Then we would arrive at whopping 2.5 degrees centigrade, and yeah, you don't want to know what the model says if you further increase emissions. So for the math buffs among you, here's the formula, so just that you've seen it. I've heard before that showing one formula reduces the audience by half, so I'm giving you a few seconds to if you want. No, you have just this, I mean, you have seen the leveling of the curve, you have seen here this exponential term that depends on this time difference between the T0 is the time we started the model and now. So this is the that levels off, and what else goes into this is R, the rate of reduction of the emissions. Then E0 is the accumulated emissions, the total emissions up to the start of the model. And EC0 is the emissions exactly in the model year, and we multiply everything by this factor here, and that's the slope of the linear curve. So if you let t go to infinity, this vanishes, and we can calculate how much it will end up in the end. So how would you now apply this to a country or a company? Well, you simply assume you get company data, and you simply assume that you ask the question, what would happen if the whole world would behave like this company? Then this model gives you a temperature, like if the whole world would behave like this company, you end up at, say, 2 degrees centigrade warming above 3 industrial age, and this gives you a quite, let's say, vivid and easily calculable KPI that judges the actions of this company. We actually also, let me try the internet connection here. We made a simple model here with a simple model with the Wolfram South function. So let's move to Austria because Austria is interesting. Probably, I think you get the conference slides and you can play around with it yourself if you want. It's crunching the numbers, and you see Austria. If the whole world would behave like Austria, we would end up with a warming temperature about 2 degrees centigrade. And well, let's take something in Asia. Yeah, this is the way even manageable physicists. This is of course getting much higher because they have big economic increase, and yeah, they do amount of 8.6 degrees centigrade, which is pretty warm. So now someone needs to turn the pocket switch back to this side. So, well, how do you apply this to a company and then present to users in a financial advisory? Companies, all companies, but a lot of them report their emission data in so-called scope 1, 2, and 3 emission data. So scope 1 is basically the direct actions of the business, like if you operate a plant, how much CO2 and other greenhouse gases are currently emit. Scope 2 is indirect emissions basically by the energy you consume, and scope 3 is where it gets a bit murky. This is the whole greenhouse gas emissions, so up and down your value chain. That's first hard to report because what do you include and what do you exclude, and it's also hard to match up because once companies' emissions down this value chain are when other companies will have to correct. We normalize the emissions by the revenue of the company, by the turnover in million dollars, simply because, of course, larger corporations will emit more greenhouse gases, and we want to know how efficient the company operates in terms of climate change or in terms of preventing climate change. Now, there is an additional correction for inflation, of course, because gigatons of CO2 are the same. I mean, one ton of CO2 in 1850 is the same as now, but $1 billion now and $1 billion in 1850 would be very different. So we need to correct that for inflation, because otherwise, yeah, the KPI will simply decrease within inflation. And well, and then you simply calculate as a KPI would be the global warming if the whole world would behave like this company and present it to you the kind of investment So, as an example, let me show you here Acker Chemie Aktiengesellschaft, a company in the chemicals industry. They have reported Scope 1, 2, and 3 emission data in 2019 and 20, and you see that here from the numbers they managed to decrease their emissions from 18,000 kilotons to 17,000 kilotons, and at the same time the revenue increased. So if you divide emissions by turnover, this results in a reduction rate of 7.8%, but we had a bit of inflation in the meantime, so the corrected rate is 6.6%. If you put this into the model, it comes back with a warming potential of 1.39 degrees centigrade for 2001. So if everyone would behave like here, again, you end up at roughly 1.4 degrees centigrade. So this is compatible with the Paris Agreement number of 1.5 degrees centigrade. So, well, and as I mentioned, we are active in financial advisory. This is the screenshot of previous version of there, and we simply show those numbers for different companies in there, and investors can select their portfolio and narrow it down to, let's say, sustainable companies. So there's these plots where you see the high volume companies are there in red, and those green dots here are very sustainable company, and it allows you to narrow down your portfolio to companies that behave in a sustainable way, and hopefully investors like that and use that to choose companies. Well, to sum up, I think that's all. Yeah. But to sum up, the warming potential in degrees centigrade is based on the greenhouse gas emissions indicator for sustainable investment. It basically presents the user with a simple number that you can compare to the Paris Agreement, for instance, of 1.5 centigrade. So this is something that really sticks to your head. The model is very transparent and very simple. That's simply needed for financial advisors, because investors will get hundreds of possible investments. So there is no time for private investors to really read and digest companies. And it would be possible to present additional key figures like a momentum that shows the trend, has this company improved or has it gotten worse. And we now have, for the start, emissions data of about 4,000 companies for the go-live version, and it's hopefully getting more. Well, so as mentioned, the software is called Omega. If you are interested in the business, our key will be sitting in the back here, and I guess he will be happy to discuss this. But probably that's not.
So yeah, this is the part where we would ask if there are any questions from the audience. Oh, feel free to use the second. Okay. Right.
Thanks. Yes. I was wondering, I probably know the answer, but 2015 is a few years ago, and things changed rapidly. Is the Paris Agreement target, is it a bit out of date? I assume we can't even reach that, so that's the reason you take it, or we, in the world, have that as a target in mind, but might be even more important to use a low number.
You mean it would be better if we lower the target, or it would be more realistic if we would increase it?
Yes.
Both of it is true.
Yes. I was wondering if you thought about that in your position.
it's basically important what's in the investors' heads, and there's a 1.5% that's a number of people know. Maybe at the moment.
Perhaps I can answer this question. Principally, it's always independent of the target relate, but we try to earn money for solutions, and basically we are talking about this high net worth individuals. So typically people between 55 and 65, and they have between $500,000 and 5 million Swiss francs, and want to put their money there and have some value like my own boat, my own house, like this. And we need to focus on targets which they know from media, which they hear on a regular basis in TV. They are not scientists, they are not data analysts, they are not environmental enthusiasts. These are simple people who has enough money to invest. And therefore, we focus on targets that they recognize. And basically, yes, you can call it a form of greenwashing what we do, because what we do is we offer potential warning, and then they can go away with a good feeling. I have invested, and my target, my portfolio has 1.7 degree, and there is another portfolio with 2. But basically, what we do is simply give a little bit of information how their investment correlates with something, and this with something is something which should be popular and be in their minds.
Thanks. Yeah, I guess this is better than nothing.
And the model is, the model is not that accurate. So 1.6, 1.5.
Thank you for the talk. Would you mind explaining a bit about scope 1, 2, and 3? I've seen it on the slide. It seems there is some information hidden behind it, what the emissions and scopes mean.
Okay. No, scope 1 is your direct emissions. Like if you operate a plant, the CO2 you emitting. If you operate trucks, how many people are they emitting? Scope 2 is basically your indirect emission via your energy consumption. Because if you heat your building, you have not produced the CO2 by burning gas that produces electricity, but someone else has done it for you. So that's scope 2 data, and scope 3 is the total emissions up and down the value chain, as it's called. So everything from mining ores for phones you produce down to what people do with your product. That's where it gets pretty murky because that's hard to report, that's hard to assess, but actually for most companies this is the largest contribution. So that's also, it might not make much difference whether it's 1.5 or 1.6 because it depends a lot on how companies report the data. This is actually, I think, quite new. But there are increasing database, and if we have a long period of companies reporting the data, then you can also look far back in time and see how it because one shortcoming of the model actually is, as you can probably tell, if someone has already reduced his emissions down to practically zero, they don't improve anymore and they will get a very bad rating, but that's the least of our worries at the moment. So it favors companies that reduce their emissions.
Thank you. Maybe it's a follow-up question. Do we know about auditing this kind of data? I mean, it's self-reported, right?
I think mine does.
Sorry?
Well, how is it actually audited, the data? I mean, who checks whether what companies report this?
Up to my knowledge, they do an audit so that there are software companies which provide us tools to get a better assessment. And I think not all companies wish to do it. What we do is we buy the data from third-party providers. This scope data is nothing you get for free. You have to pay other companies which collect the data and maintain the data too. And normally, yes, we buy it and use it, but we are not controlling whether the data we see is when there are outliers or something, we give feedback back that this seems unlikely, but we have no control over the data itself.
Yeah, but I guess it will be, I'm not sure if it's done now, but it will be audited by the likes, KPMG and Stefan.
I work with this data, and the thing is, compared to different providers, there is situations where to realize two providers give quite a different picture of one company, so there is definitely also this.
Yes.
Data quality is
Yeah.
like
I would say that that's all the training we have. I would like to thank Stefan. I would very much like to thank Stefan for his presentation, and in case you guys didn't know, Software Plus is one of our sponsors, so if the topic that he brought up today interests you, feel free, they have a booth in the expo zone, feel free to join them at lunch and discuss these opportunities. They're one of our 3 sponsors, so we would like to thank them.